What if I told you that a living remnant of the ancient supercontinent Gondwana is hiding right off the coast of mainland Australia? Or that despite its small size, this island hides Australia's deepest subterranean cave system? Welcome to Tasmania, a place so isolated it's frequently left off world maps, yet one that conceals some of the most dramatic and bizarre anomalies on our planet. Let's dive into 15 incredible geography facts about Australia's forgotten island state. Imagine taking a deep breath and filling your lungs with the purest air on the planet. At the northwestern edge of Tasmania lies Cape Grim, home to the Baseline Air Pollution Station. This isolated facility frequently records the cleanest air in the habitable world. Why? Tasmania sits squarely in the path of the roaring Forties, a band of fierce, persistent westerly winds that whip across the Southern Ocean. Before these winds make landfall at Cape Grim, they travel thousands of miles over pristine, unbroken ocean, untouched by smog or industrial emissions. The air bottled here serves as a global benchmark for scientists tracking atmospheric changes over time. If you suffer from vertigo, you might want to look away. The Tasman Peninsula boasts sea cliffs reaching a staggering 300 meters, nearly 1,000 feet, straight up from the violent swells of the Southern Ocean. The most dramatic formation is at Cape Pillar. What makes these cliffs truly incredible isn't just their height, but their geology. They're composed of Jurassic dolerite, a rare igneous rock that fractured as it cooled millions of years ago, creating massive hexagonal columns that look like giant alien organ pipes plunging into the sea. Australia is famous for its flat, arid outback, but cross the Bay Strait into Tasmania, and the geography flips entirely. Despite its small size and lacking the extreme peaks of the Himalayas, Tasmania holds the title of Australia's most mountainous state. Millions of years of tectonic activity, glaciation, and geologic folding have crumpled the island into a rugged maze of jagged peaks, deep valleys, and alpine plateaus. There is hardly a flat plain to be found. Roads and towns must bend to the will of the mountain. Very few places on Earth have preserved their ancient landscapes as successfully as Tasmania. Over 20% of the island's entire landmass is locked within the Tasmanian Wilderness World Heritage Area, over 1.5 million hectares of protected land. This is not just a national park, it's one of the last true expanses of temperate rainforest on the planet. Deep within, time stands still. Wild rivers, glacial lakes, and dense canopies of ancient trees. It looks much the same today as it did millions of years ago. Tasmania's wonders aren't just in the sky, some plunge deep underground. The island's extensive karst landscapes, formed from dissolved limestone, hide a massive subterranean world. The crown jewel is Niggly Cave, officially Australia's deepest known cave system, plummeting 397 meters, 1,300 feet below the Earth's surface. Exploring it requires world-class technical caving skills, vertical shafts, underground waterfalls, and terrifying squeeze points. Physical geography is truly three-dimensional, and in Tasmania, the landscape beneath your feet is just as awe-inspiring as the mountains above. Speaking of Tasmania's rugged landscape, the best way to visualize it is through a great map. This week's new map drop at mapsbyjf.com is a highly detailed topographic and bathymetric map of Tassie, showing not just the stunning elevation, but also the continental shelf of Bay Strait and the deep waters of the Tasman Sea. Strictly limited to 28 days available until May 28th. Grab yours before they're gone forever. Look at a modern map, and Tasmania is clearly an island. But this separation is geologically recent. During the last glacial maximum, sea levels dropped by as much as 120 meters, exposing a massive land bridge connecting Tasmania to mainland Victoria. For tens of thousands of years, humans and animals walked across a grassy plain. Then, about 10,000, 12,000 years ago, the earth warmed, glaciers melted, and rising seas flooded the land. The Bay Strait was born, instantly transforming a southern peninsula into an isolated island. The flooding of Bay Strait created one of the most profound human isolation events in history. Long before the seas rose, the Palawa people, Aboriginal Tasmanians, migrated south. When the waters cut them off around 10,000 years ago, they thrived in complete geographic and cultural isolation for the next 10 millennia. More remarkably, during the depths of the last ice age, as massive ice sheets choked the Northern Hemisphere, the Palawa people were the absolute southernmost human population on the entire planet. Want physical proof that continents move? Look at Tasmania's trees. Deep in the wilderness, you'll find species like Nothofagus, southern beech, and the ancient Huon pine. Astonishingly, identical or near identical species grow thousands of miles away in South America and New Zealand. Since these seeds are known to survive ocean crossings, there's only one explanation. These land masses used to be connected. Tasmania is a living, breathing remnant of Gondwana, the ancient supercontinent that linked Australia, Antarctica, and South America before tectonic forces tore them apart. In the early 19th century, the British Empire looked at Tasmania's harsh, isolated geography and saw the perfect natural prison. They established Port Arthur on the rugged Tasman Peninsula. The genius wasn't the walls, it was the location. The peninsula was surrounded by freezing, shark-infested waters, connected to the mainland by only one incredibly narrow strip of land. Eaglehawk Neck, less than 30 meters wide. Authorities guarded this choke point with a literal line of chained, half-starved dogs and armed sentries. The landscape itself became the warden. When Dutch explorer Abel Tasman first sighted the island in 1642, he named it Van Diemen's Land. But during the British colonial era, the island became so infamous for the unimaginable horrors of its penal colonies that the name became a global synonym for a living hell. Seeking a fresh start, free citizens petitioned for a rebrand. In 1856, the name was officially changed to Tasmania, erasing the psychological stain from the map. Tasmania is a masterclass in human geography adapting to the natural environment. In 2020, it achieved a monumental milestone, becoming 100% powered by renewable energy, one of the very few jurisdictions on Earth to do so. How? The island's rugged mountains and incredibly high annual rainfall created the perfect canvas for a statewide network of hydroelectric dams, supplemented by massive wind farms capturing the relentless roaring Forties. Location is everything. Hobart, Tasmania's capital, leverages its extreme southern latitude to hold immense global importance. It is officially recognized as one of only 5 Antarctic gateway cities on the planet. During the brief summer months, Hobart's deep water port is a hive of international activity, the primary departure point for Australian and French icebreakers, and a staging ground for hundreds of scientists heading to the frozen continent. Hobart proves that proximity to extreme environments can shape an entire city's economy and strategic value. You might associate opium production with the Golden Triangle, but the true global powerhouse is surprisingly Tasmania. Thanks to its secure island geography, cool climate, and highly regulated agricultural zones, Tasmania produces roughly 50% of the world's legally grown opium poppies. During summer, vast valleys turn into a striking sea of purple and white flowers. This isn't illicit, it's a massive, highly secured industry supplying the raw materials for pain medications like morphine and codeine. On mainland Australia, populations are overwhelmingly centralized in megacities like Sydney or Melbourne. Tasmania breaks this mold completely. Over half of the state's approximately 570,000 residents live outside the greater Hobart area. Instead, the population is spread evenly across thriving regional centers, historic coastal towns, and agricultural hubs. This decentralization was driven by early mining and farming booms, creating a balanced way of life that stands in stark contrast to the mainland's urban sprawl. Human agriculture has the power to rewrite a region's geographic identity. Throughout the late 19th and 20th centuries, farmers realized that Tasmania's cool, temperate valleys provided the perfect conditions for growing apples. The industry exploded, transforming the state into one of the world's premier apple producers. This earned Tasmania the enduring nickname the Apple Isle. While the industry has since diversified into wine and salmon farming, the moniker and the legacy of those endless rolling orchards remains deeply embedded in the state's identity. Guys, Tasmania is the absolute best. I was lucky enough to visit for a few days last year on my field geography channel, driving from Hobart to experience the roaring Forties on the west coast. The people were amazing, the geography was incredible, and the kangaroos were very cute. If I could pack my bags and move anywhere on the planet, Tasmania is where I'd land. Speaking of which, want to see a fake forest in Oregon. The trees are real, but how it came to be is quite the geographic story. Come join me on my field geography channel. And if you enjoyed learning about Tassie, check out the video on Tennessee. Thanks for watching. See you next time.